Record. Hi, everyone, and welcome to day 15 of My Kids Think I'm Cool But podcast holiday special. For 25 days, I will be interviewing someone from a different country that is living abroad. They're either living in Denmark or Portugal, somewhere around the world, but they don't live in their home country. And I want to talk to them about how they celebrate Christmas in their home country and how they celebrate Christmas in the new country they're living in. Their husband or partner can be from a different culture, and it will be interesting to see how the culture is blended and how they celebrate Christmas. Today, I have Venelina Damgaard from Bulgaria. She lives in Denmark with her family, and her husband's Dane, and they have two kids together. Actually, Veni and I are really good friends, and I'm really excited that she agreed to be on this podcast. And she actually gave me this idea to do this podcast because we were talking about different cultures and how we celebrate Christmas back home. And I found it so interesting how she celebrated it in Bulgaria. And I wanted to share it with the listeners and to the YouTube viewers to see, because it's just so interesting. So, Veni or Venelina, I'm so used to calling you Veni.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, thank you for being on my podcast to talk about your holiday back in Bulgaria. Can you tell the audience a bit about yourself and why you're here in Denmark?
Hi, Jackie, and thank you for having me here. I think it's very exciting, and I've been listening a lot to your episodes whilst
Thank
running.
you.
That is something that we enjoy doing together. So,
Yeah.
whenever we can run together, I actually take the time to listen to some of the episodes, and I think they're very interesting. I love all the guests you had so far. So, thank you for having me. A little bit about myself. Yeah, well, I'm Bulgarian, married to a Dane, living in Denmark. Been living here for what is it now? Well, since 2008, late 2008. So I have experienced quite a fair bit of the Danish culture. I adopted a lot of it as well. Shared some of it going back home in Bulgaria to my family and friends, and yeah, well, we are trying to mix it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to mix it together. As you said, we have two kids. My daughter is 3 years old, a little bit over three. Fascinated with your daughter Mika.
Yeah.
And
They're good friends.
mm, they're very the best of friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, my son is then almost 11 months old, close to age with Valentine, so hopefully those two are also going to be very good friends.
Yeah. It'll make it easier.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the Christmas spirit. How do you celebrate Christmas in Bulgaria?
Quite different than in Denmark. Completely different. That was one of the big shocking things because, growing up, you think, oh, everybody celebrates Christmas the same way. But not everybody celebrates Christmas the same way. So that was one thing that with time I had to learn. And before I got married, it was easy, always the Bulgarian way. Now that I'm married to a Dane, we actually try to take turns. One year we are doing a 100% Danish Christmas, and the next year is like 100% full blown Bulgarian Christmas. So what we actually do is we have 24th of December, which is Christmas Eve. There, it's quite different than what is happening in Denmark. The first thing we do is it's lots of cooking during the day, but it's very, very nice and cozy. We make it very nice and cozy. We are very relaxed with the Christmas sweaters or Christmas pajama, leggings, whatever, cooking together with. Usually it's mother, grandmother, because they know the good old school recipes. Those are usually dishes that you eat only on Christmas Eve. You never cook them throughout the year. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
And basically, most Bulgarian people, they just crave it throughout the year. And it's so special. So on the 24th, we eat vegetarian. I actually want to say almost vegan.
Ah.
This is coming from the tradition comes from like very very old days, where people are fasting 40 days before Christmas, Christmas Day meaning 25th. So 24th is the last of the fasting days. So this is, of course, many years ago. Nowadays, what is left out of this is just basically 24 being a fasting day. So all the dishes that are prepared are vegetarian, almost on the vegan side.
Mm.
And the other special thing we have is that the amount of number of dishes that have to be served at Christmas Eve is very specific. So they have to be an even number, like
Ah,
7 or 9 or 11
okay.
or 13, whatever. Like families do different, anything from 7 to 11. Actually, most common is about 9 dishes. So they all have to be homemade, and they all have to be vegan, vegetarian for sure, but almost on the vegan side.
Okay.
um yes, so we just like arrange the table and we put different meals and they smell so good. And we have for instance, what is very traditional is a bean soup. Almost all family have it. Then it's this wine leaves and rice and carrots rolled into wine leaves or cabbage leaves.
Okay.
That is also very, very Christmassy. Like it's
Yeah.
super Christmas traditional in Bulgaria. Every time you eat it, you would think about Christmas. Almost don't eat it throughout the rest of the year. Maybe
Yeah.
a little bit once in a while. So this is extremely traditional as well. This is two of the dishes. A very central place is actually we get this bread. It's a special type of bread that usually
Mm.
the grandmother of the house will prepare, and then we put different fortunes in the bread.
Okay.
And example is one fortune is a coin, another one is a small kidney bean, and a third one is a small piece of wood. They are all wrapped in foil, and you put it in the bread. And when the
Mm.
bread is broken in the evening to be eaten together with the rest of the dishes, you have to look for what's going to be your fortune in the new year.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's yeah, coin would represent money and prosperity for the next year. The kidney bean would represent health. And then the small piece of wood would be work. So nowadays it's translated into, oh, if I get a piece of wood, then I would have a success at work, or I can be promoted, or yeah. So it's fun as kids. I remember that we all just were opening the bread and we wanted to check, our piece of the bread. We wanted to check what is in there. It's like, oh, did I get the coin, or did I get the kidney bean or whatever? So that was actually some of my happiest childhood memories. But there is no presents on 24th. We don't
Okay.
do presents. We just do the food and
Mm.
be thankful and grateful for what has been given to us throughout the year. And then on the 25th is when is the presents, because that is when Santa would come. And the
Mm.
Santa would come in the middle of the night and we bring presents to the good kids.
Okay.
So we'll go to bed all very excited. All kids around the country are going to bed so excited, waiting for Santa, leaving cookies and milk, and then almost not sleeping through the night, and then rushing to check what's underneath the Christmas tree. So that's yeah, one thing that again, growing up as a child, it's been so exciting to see what Santa gave me for Christmas, and did it gave me because I was writing a letter.
Yeah.
We all need to write letters.
Mm.
So it was like, oh, I wrote a letter, and I hope Santa got my letter, and I hope I've been a good girl, and I'm gonna get my yeah, whatever was on the letter. So that's actually also very different than what it is here in Denmark. Because on 24th, usually we open presents and then
Yeah.
you read from whom is the present. So where is Santa and all of that. So we actually had to tell my daughter that in Denmark he comes a bit earlier. So that's why we have the presents. But in Bulgaria we open the presents on the 25th because it takes him overnight to to fly to Bulgaria. So we are, yeah, using a little bit of white lie
Yeah.
because we want to keep the yeah, the Bulgarian tradition alive, especially when we're down there.
Yeah. A lot of parents that's multicultural, I realize if they go home and celebrate Christmas, they always say, "Oh yeah, it's taking, the world's big and Santa's here
Yeah,
for now," and then they'll get there the next day. So I can understand why parents are like, okay, here Santa comes this day, but in Denmark they come, the 24th, and
Yes.
you can open
Yeah.
presents a little bit earlier. How
Yeah,
do you
that's
celebrate? How do you celebrate in Denmark? Do you try to incorporate any of the Bulgarian tradition, or do you just keep it all Danish?
well, actually, at first we're thinking about blending traditions as we're blending languages at home and parenting methods and whatnot. So at first the idea was to blend it. But to be honest, living in Denmark, so far away from home, I
Mm-hmm.
really miss Bulgarian Christmas, like the way I grew up, and I really wanted my kids to have that experience. And I grow to enjoy Danish Christmas as well in its own merits and its own ways. So we have decided that we fully separate. So as I said, 1 year we are here in Denmark, and then we do 100% Danish Christmas. We do Æbleskive and Risalamande and all of it, And I get excited about this as well. And Christmas dancing around the Christmas tree, because that's one thing we don't have in Bulgaria. We just on 25th we have this cozy sweaters. We are all with these Christmas sweaters and Christmas thick Christmas socks, and then we're gonna open present first thing in the morning with hot cocoa, and then later on we'll go and do enjoy the snow, because usually as a kid there was like so much snow. So the first thing is like presents in the morning, and then we rush to the snow and play and build the snowman and whatnot. um, so I wanted to not be restrained and thinking to mix too much traditions, because as this is really good and it works sometimes, it could also be a bit stressful.
Yeah,
So yeah, we separate
yeah.
Denmark, full blown Danish Christmas, 100% Danish, with all the Danish traditions, and we really get to enjoy them. And then the next year is Bulgarian Christmas, 100%. So as I have adjusted quite well to the Danish Christmas, I think my
Mm.
husband is a little bit struggling with the Bulgarian one, especially on 24th, because he's used to eating meat. So he was like, "Where is the meat? Why are we eating bean soup and cabbage leaves?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, well, that's different, because we go full blown meat on 25th. That's why we
Okay.
have this." Christmas lunch where you invite people, and then you basically prepare. There you're going to prepare duck or something else, whatever. Different families would do different, but definitely it is the centerpiece is the meat. So that's
Okay.
25th.
Okay. So you do another thing on the 25th with a bigger lunch versus.
Yes.
Oh, it depends on the family in Denmark, though. Some families don't even do anything at 25th, or they do that. I don't know if you've done the Christmas lunch in Denmark, where it's like 7 course.
Yeah.
And I was surprised how much food was coming out my first Christmas. So I enjoy it now, and I know how to portion out my food.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yes.
My first
Exactly.
Christmas day here, I was eating all the talara. I can't even say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Exactly.
The first course, and didn't realize there was like 5 more coming after that. So yeah, but in Bulgaria, it seems like it's more of like for the Americans, like a Thanksgiving with the Thanksgiving turkey and a
Yes.
bigger
Yes.
meal.
Yeah, you could compare it very much. It's very
Yeah.
similar. Yeah, as 24th is like the 7 courses and you eat a little bit, but everything is on the table. 25th is really relaxed. That's one of the things that I think is one of the, at least I see it as a bit of a difference. It's like 25th is so relaxed. It's just all about excitement for the kids and living Christmas through the eyes of a child, like being so happy that they open their presents and they guess, oh, what is this? Is this Santa? This Santa brought me this or that, and then we drink hot cocoa and be with just like Christmas pajamas until lunch, and then as the kids are enjoying the snow outside, typically, and building a snowman, the biggest they can build in the neighborhood, and parents are cooking. The either the duck or whatever it is the family will serve on that day for the Christmas lunch. And then the other thing is on the 25th, it doesn't have to be just the family. It could be
Yeah.
also close neighbors or good friends. It's not like a super big, like 50 people, not like that, but could easily be 10, 15 people. That is the time where we feel like, oh, the more the merrier. So I grew up like on 24th, only the family, immediate
Mhm.
family, and 25th has always been with friends, Christmas lunch.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was a big of a difference, because compared to Denmark, where it's always the family, or at least in our case, of course, obviously, I don't know how it's celebrated in other Danish families, but in our family, 24th is just the immediate family, and 25th, it could be a little bit bigger, but then there's no presents. It's more like a Christmas lunch.
Yeah.
The presents are always like the biggest part is 24th. The biggest part is always here in Denmark. It's the 24th.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's I also agree with that. What have you implemented any of the events or any of the traditions that's leading up to Christmas? For example, with the elf or the Nisse or the Advent calendar. Do they do that in Bulgaria too, or is that because in the U.S. we don't really do that? Never remember having a Yule calendar or a Nisse and having a gift every day. I always was waiting for the 25th. That was the
Yeah.
day. I had no gifts from before that.
No, the same in Bulgaria. Not none of the sorts. We had to be good because we had to write
Yeah.
a letter to Santa, but no Nisa. We never had this elf soul Nisa or whatever. So I also got only one present on 25th. I've never gotten any other presents, and boy, was I waiting for that present. It was just like
Yeah,
so exciting, and I was like appreciating it so much.
definitely.
I still remember what I got from my
Yeah.
as my Christmas present when I was 7
Yeah.
years old. It's just crazy, but I still remember it because I wanted it so much, and I was like hoping that
Ah, I'm recording. I'm gonna have to edit that
the
out.
joys the joys of family. I'm just happy my little
Oh
one
my
hasn't
gosh.
gone through the door.
I'm
Yeah.
like locking him out.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. Nowadays with people working from home, there is always somebody on the background or knocking on the door. So
Yeah.
but yeah, just know what we have done is we've implemented some of the traditions, the Danish traditions leading up to Christmas, like Nise this year, or elf, Christmas elf, or whatever. This year, we got one moved in the house,
Yeah.
brings presents every Sunday, not every day, but brings presents every Sunday. My daughter is getting very excited, yet a little bit suspicious. Why is it just like popping up so randomly? And yeah,
Yeah.
so I think so it arises also some questions, but most of all, she just really enjoys it. She gets presents and treats and candy every Sunday, like as much as she wants. So this we actually mixed this leading up to the Christmas, regardless if we're gonna spend Christmas here or in Bulgaria. We have now the elf living at home.
Yeah. And do you do the door or the actual
Yeah, we do
house?
the door. We do
Yeah.
the door with a small. We put like a door and a small slate, and then there's a post box where Nice apparently receives messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have that. And she's just like, look, my son, we had to lift it up actually because she respects the door and the privacy of the elf, but my son doesn't get it. So he's just like, he was keep ripping the door off the wall. So we had to, now Lisa moved a little bit higher up in the wall.
Yeah. That my son's the same way, trying to rip the door off.
Mhm.
I think this Sunday that's coming, we're gonna put a coal in his sock. They don't get their gift.
No, okay. Yeah, but it could be a little bit overwhelming with all the gifts
Yeah,
actually.
it is, and that's
It's
why they
meant to
didn't
be
get a
something
coal.
nice, but I think nowadays with things being so commercial, people could easily become a little bit overboard. I think in the old days was meant that they're like all homemade, and effort was put in. Could be small things. Nowadays it's just we go to the store and we buy, and yeah, we could go a little bit overboard. At least I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to really control myself a little bit.
That's I feel the exact same way. Sometimes I go shopping. I was like, oh my god, how many gifts did I get back already?
Yeah.
And I forget, like I already bought like a couple things, and I'm like, I bought
Uh-oh.
more. Oh no.
Yeah.
But the last question, what do you miss about Christmas in Bulgaria?
Oh, I think maybe I would say the what I miss the most is maybe the 25th.
Yeah.
24th is it's nice and it's all, but what I miss the most is like the morning of the 25th.
Yeah.
It's where you wake up and you just can't wait to go by the Christmas tree and just like sit there in your pajamas, or really relax, no stress, and just enjoy. Everything slows down in Bulgaria on 25th. There is no expectations. There is no, oh, let's get dressed and put makeup on and do this and prepare this huge Christmas lunch where we put the silverware and all the special dishes. So I just miss the morning of Christmas 25th, where of course as a child you would open presents, and as a
Yeah.
grown up you just kind of sit. We have a fireplace, so typically I would sit by the fireplace next to the Christmas tree and just have nice cup of tea or coffee and just enjoy. There's no expectations, there's just joy and being
Yeah.
happy. So maybe that is the part that I missed the most, if I could say so. Of course, also the food. I definitely miss the food a lot, but I've grown to like the Danish food
Yeah.
over Christmas as well. So it's in the beginning it was always the food I missed the
Yeah.
most over Christmas, because that's what makes Christmas. It
Yeah.
is the food. But again, I've been living in Denmark for so long time that I got used to Christmas, Danish Christmas food. So I would say that, of course, as I still miss the Bulgarian Christmas food, now I maybe just miss the atmosphere on 25th, which it can only be recreated when you're down there. I don't think it can
Yeah.
be recreated here.
You can probably, it won't be the same and be a
Yeah.
lot of work for you.
Yes, that's the thing. Like I'm a mom of two small kids. I'm constantly tired. I'm running the fumes all the time. So
Yeah.
anytime I get these like big ideas, like, oh, let's do it like this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have energy right now. Next year.
Yeah. See, you're different from me. I was like, oh, let's do it, and then it happens. It's like, what did I do?
Yeah, we're very energetic person. You're very, very, you have a lot of ideas, and yeah,
Yeah,
well,
and
you
so I
manage to
regret it
implement.
afterwards. I regret it afterwards sometimes. Well,
You
thank
manage to
you.
implement most of them. So
Yeah, yeah, I do actually. Well, I know you have to go, and thank you for taking the time to do this interview, and take time out of your day to talk about your holiday traditions. So thank you for joining.
yeah, thank you very much for having me. It was pleasure to be here and talk to you. And I'm looking forward to my next one where I can listen to some more of your exciting podcasts.
Oh, thank you. I have a bunch coming, so that's so
Oh,
awesome. I have one person listening to my podcast.
oh, for sure. Like, and it gives me actually sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to the podcast. I might as well run. So now I'm starting to associate running with your podcast.
Perfect. You're getting healthy and listening to my podcast. That's perfect.
Yes, it's a win-win.
Yeah. Well, for the listeners, stay tuned for day 16. Which country will it be? I'm not sure. You'll have to come back tomorrow to find out. Until tomorrow, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.